We worked very, very hard, and we traveled throughout the state talking with people and asking about the issues that concern them, and we couldn't have done it without an extraordinary effort by everybody. From the top to the bottom, it was a true grassroots effort, and for that I'm very, very thankful. I look forward to getting to work right away and try to deal with all the very important challenges we have before us. And as you know, this morning, my campaign's legal counsel delivered a request to Secretary Galvin for an unofficial vote count, and within that, the number of outstanding absentee ballots. And I'm confident that it will show that the margin of victory exceeds the amount of the outstanding absentee ballots. And since the election is not in doubt, I'm hopeful that the Senate will seat me on the basis of those unofficial returns, just as they did for Ted Kennedy in 1962, and more recently for Nikki Tsongas in 2007. So with that, I'm very happy to take some questions.
Senator Brown, the Secretary of State's office has said this morning that they have sent a letter off to the Senate, U.S. Senate Harry to request that he'll seat you immediately. Just wondering, could you give us your reaction to that and talk about your plans and when you'd like to go down and why you want to get down there so quickly?
Yeah, we're going down tomorrow. I've already spoken to Senator Kerry and Kirk and Congressman McGovern and a whole host of other folks from the delegation. I think it's important that we hit the ground running because there are some very important issues facing our country. And I've always had, contrary to, the campaign's over now, and now we have to focus on solving problems. And I've had great working relationships with the delegation, and I'm looking forward to getting down there as quickly as I can.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have said this is not a referendum on President Obama, but you did, in a state he carried by 26 points just 14 months ago, run against the stimulus plan, against his health care plan, suggested he could be a little tougher on terrorism, and also said there's too much spending and not enough bipartisanship in Washington. If it's not a referendum on the president, as he and other Democrats assess these results today, what do you think the message of Massachusetts was?
I think the message from traveling around the state, and I've tried to obviously do some self-reflection and analyzing as to why I'm standing before you today, and really the number one thing I've heard is that people are tired of the business as usual. And what does that mean? That means the behind-the-scenes deals, the Nebraska subsidizing of Medicaid forever. Things like that have just drive people crazy. They want to make sure that their elected officials are doing things in a transparent manner, and they're doing it with the best interests of our state in mind. And the things that you just referred to, we have health care here. We have certainly very serious economic problems, but the first stimulus bill didn't work. We haven't created one new job. And then you take the expiring tax cuts. When you're talking about the marriage penalty coming back and the child care tax credit being cut in half, those are things that affect every person from rich to poor, Pittsfield to Boston, and there are financial issues in a time when people are having a very difficult time paying their bills and just going out. So, people and the pundits, and I'll let them just determine, what this means in terms of the national race. But I think it's important to know that the main thing that they want is good government back and to be part of the process. And I think they sent a very, very powerful message that business as usual is not going to be the way we do it. Yes.
Reforming your opposition to the Democrat bill was a major part of your campaign. You said this morning that you don't believe that it's the responsibility of anything except the state to reform health care.
No, I don't want to have you characterize what my strategy in the campaign was. It was, while the health care bill was certainly an issue, the issues that were just referenced by your fellow journalists were issues that were in people's minds. You're talking taxes and spending, terrorism and how we deal with those issues, the health care proposal. Those are the more important things. However, we already have 98% of our people insured here. We know what we need to do to fix it, but to have the one-size-fits-all plan that is being pushed nationally, it doesn't work. So what I have suggested, and what I'm hoping to suggest, because we've done it here, I have some experience. I voted for health care here, so obviously I care very deeply of it, but is to let the states tell the federal government, hey, this is what we'd like to do. Can we work with you in a team effort? Maybe you can incentivize us to do something better. Model it like we have it, or maybe come up with something better so we can learn.
Is there then any national health care reform that you would support over
I think that, first of all, just so we're past campaign mode, I think it's important for everyone to get some form of health care. So to offer a basic plan for everybody, I think is important. It's just a question of whether we're going to raise taxes, we're going to cut $500 billion from Medicare, we're going to affect veterans care. I think we can do it better. And to just be the 41st senator and bring it back to the drawing board, there were some very good things, as you just pointed out, in the national plan that's being proposed. But if you look at, in really almost a parochial manner, we need to look out for Massachusetts first. Because no one, I've felt, and as a legislator and as a citizen, that we haven't done that very well. We've always kind of, thought about maybe Washington first or the party first. But the thing that I'm hearing all throughout the state is, what about us? So, thank you. Yes, nice to see you.
You ran as an independent. You were elected as an independent. What's first on your agenda? What's your number one priority to show voters you are the independent that they wanted to send to Washington?
I haven't had much sleep yet. That being said, when I go down to Washington tomorrow, I'll meet with the delegation, all of which are Democrats, and I'll certainly check in with the Republican leadership and obviously Senator McCain, who was very helpful right from the beginning. I think people need to give me a chance to do a little bit of a transition, see what's on the agenda. I'll look at each and every bill for its merits and how it affects our state, and then I'll make a decision to say, am I going to do this or do that? It's really, I think, not appropriate right now. I just appreciate an opportunity to at least get down there, open up an office, get a staff together, and then do my very best to continue with that independence. Yes.
What advice do you have for Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid on how to proceed with health care? Do you need to go back to scratch? Are there some things that are salvageable in this bill, or do you have to start all over again?
Well, I don't know if I'll be giving him advice at all. He is the Senate President, and I'm sorry, the Majority Leader. He obviously has he has his own way of doing things, and I don't want to influence that, but I think I can certainly offer guidance as to what we've done here and how we could maybe do it better there. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about this independence that you say that you talk so much about during the campaign, how you're going to maintain it down there? People go down there all the time saying they're going to be independent. And then when they get down there, they caucus every Tuesday with the party. Quite often they vote along party lines. What concrete are you going to do to maintain your independence?
Well, I remember when I ran and when I was a selectman, it was, when you go to Beacon Hill, you're going to change. And then when I was running for state senate, when you get in the Senate, you're going to change. Well, that's kind of old, to be honest with you. I've been in the legislature, municipal and legislative government for quite some time now, and yes, we caucus. We have to caucus because we try to figure out what's in fact happening, see if there's any issues that you want to be brought forth. There's a lot of good information. We've had many joint caucuses with the Senate President here in Massachusetts. And one of the things when you're talking about transparency and the ability to do things the right way, one thing I've always admired about Senate President Travellini and President Murray, without even blinking, and I've said this publicly so many times, is even though we have 5 Republicans in the Senate right now, we have had every opportunity to have full and fair discussion and agreements. We've had joint caucuses. We've come together on transportation, pension, ethics reform. We've made some very, I think, super moves when it comes to the stem cell bill, dealing with, some of the budget issues. So there are times in Massachusetts that we can come together, and I'm hopeful that I'll go down there, just like I always have. And of course I'm going to caucus with the party. That's how you ultimately find out what's going on. But I've already made it very, very clear that I'm not beholden to anybody, and I've made that very clear.